I want you to imagine if that happened in real life. Hey, Caleb, I want you to keep paying attention to my life, but listen, I don't give a fuck about your life, so I'm not going to pay attention. But you keep paying attention
That's
to mine.
fucking wild. Ayo. Oh shit, I lost my. Sorry, I couldn't hear you for a moment.
Um, Today's going to be a less upbeat one, but I feel like it's an important one nonetheless.
This is gonna be a little different from the last one.
We'll make sure that the next one's a little happier and upbeat. But this one, as you can see from the title, it's called "Loneliness in a Crowded Room." Um,
Mm,
Now, I thought that this would be interesting, especially to our audience. You know, a lot of our followers are between these ages. So I actually have a few statistics before we get into some of these questions.
damn.
Um, and it's that the first one, it was a British survey that was done in the past decade, and it's that 1 in 3 people worldwide report feeling lonely on a daily basis.
Hmm.
And of those 1 in 3, it's young adults, so that's those within the ages of 16 and 24
I'm
are the
still a young adult.
yeah,
Let's go.
yeah. They're the most likely to report feeling lonely, despite, all the social media and how well we connect digitally. We're the ones that feel the most lonely. So I thought this would be an interesting topic because I feel like it has to be relatable to most because, based on the statistics. Um, and I'll get into a little bit later into the episode of why I chose this topic in specific. It's actually a funny story, but in the meantime, I want to ask you first, and then we'll go to me. If you can think of any times where you have felt lonely when there is still a room full of people.
So I don't want to be that guy,
Hmm.
but I'm pretty easy at talking with people.
Okay.
I don't love it. I have social anxiety before I meet people,
Hmm.
but I can find ways to connect, find some type of, oh, we like sports. Oh, what's your favorite team? Okay, like maybe we like the same team or maybe we don't, but now we have something to talk about. I can find a way to find something that's kind of similar between the two of us, whoever I'm talking to. There's nothing that's popping to the top of my head as maybe like I hate going to the doctor's office.
Hmm.
So anytime I'm sitting in the waiting room by myself, I am like, shit, this sucks. There's no one here. Obviously, I'm a big boy. I can go to the doctor myself and do whatever I need to do. But I think in those moments, I wish that someone was there. So I think that's when, if lonely is the right word. But I also love being by myself.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's kind of difficult to answer that question for me
Right.
individually. But I see it all the time, people being lonely. And there's some times where I do wish that someone was around. But
Yeah. I think you bring up a good point of I think there's lonely versus alone.
yes,
And I
big
feel
difference.
like alone is I feel like it's more of like you're choosing to be in solitude. Like you mentioned in many of these episodes, is that you like to read. I'm sure
Mm,
you like to do that by yourself, if
hmm.
I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's a lot of activities that even I enjoy doing personally, like when I'm alone, because it gives me a chance to unwind and relax. But I feel like lonely is even when there are people around you, you don't feel like you belong. Now, I have three
Yes.
really quick instances of where I feel like this. Now, sometimes when I speak to my family back home in Pakistan, I can't speak Urdu, which is the language that we all speak, as well as I want to. And I feel like that creates barriers because there's people making fun of my grammar as I'm trying to have a conversation with my
Mm,
grandma, and I'm like, it's kind of hard for me to interact the way I want to. So at times I just smile and I just don't say anything.
mm.
Another instance is when I've established myself previously as that socially awkward kid. It's hard for me to change that narrative because it's already established, and that's like the impression that others have on me. Um, and the
Yeah.
last one, I'm quickly touching on them because I feel like I've talked about them in more depth in previous episodes. The last one is when I have a sense of imposter syndrome, and that's usually at work. I feel like other people are more accomplished and they're more
Mm.
competent, and I don't want to say the wrong thing and have them judge me, so that I kind of just I by myself create this barrier where I put them on a pedestal and I lower kind of where I feel I stand. Um,
which is not a good thing to do.
It's not a good thing to do, and
It's a dumb thing to do.
it's all an internal thing, and as I said before, it makes me come off as more antisocial because I'm just again smiling and people are like, "Are you shy?" And if you know me like well, you know I'm not a shy individual,
No.
but that's just how I come off. And
I think one of the reasons that so I definitely there's moments where imposter syndrome comes up, especially I noticed all through my degree if I
mm,
was dealing with people who just are clearly understanding what's going on better than I do.
yeah,
You don't want your piece of the project to be the worst piece.
right,
You want to be able to fairly contribute, make sure your work is up to par and all that stuff. But I tend to look at that as just a good challenge instead of a bad thing. I also have developed this mindset recently where if it's not going to kill me, I don't really care. In terms of things will get better, like this will pass, right? So if I'm freaking out anxiety about a test, okay, well, whatever. Like, who cares? If I fail it, I fail it. I'll figure it out. It's not going to kill me. So that mindset has also allowed me to not really be worrying too much, I suppose. I don't know. There's a really good balance between having heartfelt connections with individuals. We need that.
yeah,
And also having some time to yourself.
mm,
I think which is, I think you want to talk about the next point about social media and digital connections and all
yeah,
that.
yeah. So obviously, like as I said before, we're I feel like the best sort of generation or group that connects digitally.
Hmm.
But I feel like there's a sense of, despite how many friends I might have on Facebook or how many followers I might have on Instagram, do you feel like digital connections make us feel less alone, or do you think it makes us feel more aware of how isolated we truly are?
So there's study on this that social media in itself can make people feel way more lonely because if it's all on your phone and you never see people in real life, that is inherently going to make you lonely, even if you're talking to people. But then you have the vast majority of us who, well, up until we started doing this podcast, I don't really use social media to post. So you're only consuming, you're not showing. And so you see somebody or a group of people from your high school or doing something you're not invited to. Of course, it's going to make you feel lonely.
Yeah.
So there, but that's where the balance is. How are you using it to connect?
Yeah.
Right? Because it can be great to connect to people across the planet, like your family who doesn't live here, my family who doesn't live here.
Right.
That's fantastic. But how are we using it? Are we using it to connect with individuals, or are we using it just to consume and be like, oh shit, my life sucks compared to all these people's lives. I'm so alone and nothing is going for me.
Yeah.
And I think there's a balance there, but a lot of people don't use it in a good way. It's
Yeah.
just negative. It's
Right.
it's it's bad.
It is, and it's so dangerous too. Like there's times where I had
Hmm.
to delete social media strictly because I'm like scrolling and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to, like whether that be studying or
Doom
working or applying.
scrolling, man.
Yeah, it's dangerous. And
But there's a point I want to make here about digital connections. Because the goal we have that I really started thinking about before this podcast even created is building a digital community of like-minded individuals who have the same ideas, who all want to experience life in those small moments, but also to relish in that and to remember that and to live the life you kind of want to live. I think that is the benefit of social media or any type of media or
yeah,
the internet. You can connect to people who have a shared goal. We talk about it. People meet online, but then they go meet up in person, right? It's what can you do to take that online thing offline?
right,
Go meet people in person. Go be face to face because there's studies after studies that show that face to face human interaction, meeting with friends, laughing and enjoying each other is the best way to stay healthy with your brain.
right,
It keeps you fresh, it keeps you engaged, it keeps you thinking, it keeps you wanting to basically have something to live for.
yeah,
It's super important. It's super important. It's not always the reason, right?
right,
The loneliness can come from other reasons, of course,
yeah,
but I think it's a very important thing.
right. And I feel like it's also very easy to get caught up in, because I feel like we associate engagement on these social platforms with like real things that are happening to us.
Yes.
Like I can't tell you the amount of times I've confused like likes with like love that I'm getting from people,
Yeah.
or replies from my story, or relationships that I'm having. And it's like, are
Hmm.
they really like they like swiped up and they might have like done the like laughing reaction, and I'm like, oh, that's my friend right there, you
How
know?
many times do you talk to someone online and then you see them in person and neither of you say a word to each other,
Oh my
right?
god.
You're just like, oh, no,
Yeah.
avoid this person at all costs. In high school, I don't know how many times that would happen, where I'd be people online, like people who don't go to my school or whatever, and then I'd see them at like a friend's party or whatnot. No, I'm not talking to this person. Get away from me. I'm gonna go hide in the corner.
Yeah.
So it's not a real connection,
Right.
right? But it makes us feel less lonely potentially.
Yeah.
It's a tricky thing.
Uh,
And I'm thinking more and more about the title, Loneliness in a Crowded Room. And those are really the people who are surrounded, like
mm,
who have family and friends, who have the support, but don't feel the connection.
yeah.
It's like that's very difficult to work through and deal with.
Right. The story of you like texting your friend on social media and then not saying anything is actually find super relatable, and it shouldn't be, but it is super relatable. I actually have a funny story, but I'll get onto that a little bit later. But I want to talk about why I why I selected this topic for today, and it's because I was out in some sort of like, it was like a dinner, and we were with a bunch of friends, and I'm scrolling on my phone as I'm on this dinner, and
Oh,
I look up, and I was like, okay, let me like, I was like scrolling. We were waiting for the food. I think everyone talked for a little bit, and I look up, and every single person is
oh,
down on their phone.
that
And
is the biggest meme you see. Like the boomer saying, "Oh, I hate your generation. You're
yeah,
always on your phones."
right.
That's literally it.
Dude, the whole point of social media was to connect us. Like,
And
that's
then
it.
when you are,
Like, when did scrolling even become a part of, like, it was strictly about
yeah,
your friends and your family
yeah,
and those who you care about. And it's all about keeping you in touch. And I'm at a public event where I'm in touch with all these people. And rather than having deeper conversations and talking to them more,
you're on your phone.
I'm on my phone. Like that, the whole
That's
point of social
crazy.
media was to bring us together, and yet I'm using it as a tool to isolate myself more from this group I'm out with, and it's crazy. Like when
That is
did
crazy.
this become like the norm? Because you can look at any table, pretty much anywhere you go, even when you're like walking on the bus or walking. I guess like the bus is
Hmm.
different because you don't I guess may know that many people on the bus, but it's like everyone is looking down, and it's
You
and
don't
I,
start a conversation with someone.
yeah. And you only hear adults say it half the time. You only hear like, and it's immediately met with like, oh, you're just old, man. You're just old, or like, I don't know, man. It's
It's so true because you never know who you're sitting by. You don't know the stories people have. You don't
yeah,
know the lives people have lived. And yes, there are some things with loneliness that absolutely suck, but I feel you got to give yourself a fighting chance. Go just talk to a random person who's on the bus or just sitting somewhere you're sitting. Like that's okay. We're human beings. We're allowed to talk to each other.
yeah,
I don't know when it became unacceptable to give someone a compliment. Hey, I really like your
mm,
hat. It's really cool.
yeah,
When did that become such an issue,
right,
right? So, and if we're talking about social media, I think social media has made this stuff seem like a problem because it's just those hyper bullshit that is 0.5% of what's actually happening in the real world.
mm,
You go see, I've never seen a streamer out in the real world running around with a cameraman following him. But you go on social media, you would think that's all that the world is.
yeah,
Because that's all you see. You
right,
just see streamer, 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 streamer. Or you go, you fucking see like some random YouTuber, like Mr. Beast doing all this shit on his awesome video. I like Mr. Beast. But you would think that that's just the normal in the
right,
world. That's not the normal in the world.
yeah,
It's social media just makes everything seem so, oh my God, when in reality it's not so, oh my God. You
yeah,
can talk to people. You can attempt to do something about the loneliness you're feeling.
right.
It's okay. It's allowed.
So the very valid points. The story, I wanted to wait, but I was like, dude, I want to talk about it. I feel like it's really funny. The story of you texting your friend on social media and then y'all's not talking. So I
Hmm.
did that once at a grocery store where I ran into someone from my middle school, and we were pretty damn close too. But it had been some time since I'd seen them. And I saw them in a grocery store, and I saw them a couple times. And I wasn't even grocery shopping at that point. I was looking to see if it's like, is it a good moment for me to talk to them? Is it a good moment? Like, now should I start a conversation? Now should I start? And I
That's
never talked.
hilarious.
And I was like, what am I doing? And when it happened to me again at the barber shop, where I ran into someone else from my elementary school,
So you know
I
for a long time.
I know I went up to them after I got my haircut. Looked a little wonky. It wasn't the best haircut. But I went up to them and I was like, "Hey, did you go to this? I don't want to dox my elementary school. Did you go to this elementary school?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Were you in this person's class?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "I think we were in the same class." And I got hit with the worst thing possible. It's like, "What's your name?" I was like, "God damn it, we follow each other. Like, we should, ideally, like, I'd hope we should know." But it
You
just
think?
it sheds a light on, like, do you really know every single person you like truly go
No,
through
no,
all
no,
your
you
friends?
definitely
You
don't. There's no
don't.
way.
You
There's no
don't.
way.
It's like
Because you follow people that you'll never talk to.
yeah, or you'll never even recognize. It's like at the end of the
Hmm.
day, the only interaction you'll ever have with them is if they like one of your the things you post or you like one of the
So
things.
I think, okay, cool. If you want to follow the people, follow the people. And then if you see them in real life, like, why would you not say hi to them?
Yeah.
It's, and this is, I feel most people who follow a celebrity or someone who has some type of following, maybe not a celebrity, but
Mm,
they have some type of following.
yeah.
If they saw that person in public, there's a really good chance that they would go ask for a picture, right?
Yeah.
They'd go introduce themselves. They'd be like, hey, I really love your work. I just want to say thank you for what you do. And that's all, nothing else. So if you're doing that with someone who's a legitimate, complete stranger, even if it doesn't feel like it, why aren't you doing that with someone who you went to school with?
Mm,
Right? It's
yeah.
it's so confusing. Like if you see someone who you went to school with, we talk about being lonely, well, you can try to make connections.
Mm,
I'm not saying you have to be out all the time doing things, trying to meet people but give yourself a fighting chance to make some type of connection,
yeah.
right?
Um, would you rather be alone with peace, or would you so either be alone with peace, or would you rather be surrounded by people in these like surface level friendships that we kind of
Fuck
discussed?
the fake friendships, man.
The
The
ones,
bullshit, man. Like you go do what you're gonna do. I'm gonna go do what I'm gonna do. It's fuck the fake friendships. I
mm,
do not care. I don't have time for it. And neither should they, right? You should be willing to in wanting to spend time with people who you really truly care about and want to spend the time with,
yeah.
right? Why are you just having bullshit conversations about nothing with someone who you kind of like?
Yeah.
Like no ill will. I don't dislike you. I don't want you to have a bad life. I want you to have a good life. I want you to succeed in whatever you're gonna do. But you go do you. I want to go do me.
Mm,
We don't need to keep bullshitting ourselves acting like we have a good friendship if
yeah.
we don't. Like it's as simple as that.
Right. Now, I understand that there's beauty in certain friendships that's like you only connect when you see each other, and like if you don't see each other, like it's been a while, like I guess it'd be nice if people check in, but sometimes people don't check in. You know what? I'm at fault at a lot of times because I often don't check in on people as much as I should. I'm trying to get a little bit better at that.
So
Um,
I do want to clarify. Surface level friendship does not mean that you barely check in with each other.
mm,
That is not a surface level
they
friendship.
never do.
It does not matter.
Yeah.
You could talk to someone legitimately 3 times a year, and it could be one of the deepest, most
True.
important relationships you have, right? We get confused. We think, oh, someone didn't text me this day, they must not care. That's
Yeah.
not true. There are friends I have that I don't talk to much, but if I was in the shit, like I was messed up, I was in a big problem, I could call them or show up at their door and they
Yeah.
would help me. No questions asked.
Right.
That's not an issue. That's a deep friendship.
Yeah.
That's not a surface level. Surface level friends, I mean, I when I say that, I mean you don't talk about anything that's importance. You're not trying to help each other. You're not trying to really improve. You kind of like each other, but
Yeah.
you also talk shit behind each other's backs about each other. Like that shit's fucked.
Yeah.
The deep friendships are those that I might not see you for a long time,
Yeah.
but when we do see each other, it's like we saw each other yesterday.
Right.
That's a deep friendship.
That's a good
I would rather
clarification.
that. And I would rather a very small group of those people than a whole wide group of fake friends.
Mm,
I think, and that wouldn't make me feel lonely in the slightest.
yeah.
So give me my peace. Let me have a couple good friends.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Okay. Um, I feel like so I said this a little bit before. Okay, one really good clarification because I feel like that's very important to this. Um, I feel like so social media is a good indicator to tell how many, I guess, truly like how many people you're choosing to surround yourself with because majority of the time is you're not going to know every single one of them. And I ran into a friend and we were talking, and eventually we got onto the point of Instagram, that whole notion of followers versus following ratio. And I want to get into this a little bit. They had an app, I think it's called like Followers Plus, and it tells you the statistics of how many people have engaged with your stories, with your posts, how many people have unfollowed you while you're still following them, and it's like this whole, and you have to pay for it too, and it's like gives you this whole like dashboard of like these statistics based on your group of followers and those who you follow, and it's crazy because I'm like, what I just want to. Sometimes I like to make a joke of social media and be like, what if this happened in real life? Like the whole follower to following ratio. Can you imagine?
That happened in real
Imagine.
life.
Okay, so I have a fucking pet peeve. I hate when people, like, unless you're creating some sort of like brand or like content page that you need to grow, and I guess that you need that follower to following ratio. But if
Like
you're
this.
like your own person and it's your own account, and you're like, you know what, I don't want to follow this person anymore, but I want them to follow me. You have to go out of your way to find people who you don't want to follow anymore, but then choose to keep them following you. And I want you to imagine if that happened in real life. Hey, Caleb, I want you to keep paying attention to my life, but listen, I don't give a fuck about your life, so I'm not going to pay attention. But you keep paying attention
That's
to mine.
fucking wild. Okay, if you're doing that, if you're doing the bullshit with the app and it's just your own fucking personal page, you don't do social media for a living, you're not building a brand, right? Even if you're building a brand, I would hope you're focused on your core message and values and the fucking artificial fake bullshit. I don't know if you can tell, but this really strikes a nerve with me. If you're doing that, that is scumbag shit. That is bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
I have nothing worth in my life. Bull crap. What? Who cares? Why is it so unfucking important to you?
Yeah.
And I think that attaches. They want to be perceived like they're not lonely. They look at me. I have all of these people following me, caring about me, but they're not doing social media for a living.
Yeah.
Like, I understand the people who do this for a living, right? But I also don't think that. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like Yes Theory, I think we've talked about before.
Yeah.
And I'm a big supporter and follower in their whole. They do not care if someone unfollows or follows them. That's not important to them. And quite frankly, the really big people don't even notice.
Yeah.
Who cares if you could wake up with 5 million followers? Who gives a crap if 2,000 people unfollow you that day?
Yeah.
You're going to still have 5 million followers. So it's just, this doesn't matter.
No.
This is complete horseshit. I don't understand. And I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you're someone who pays for that. But what are you doing? Like, honestly, what are you doing?
Okay, I have a confession to make. So,
It was you.
no, it wasn't me. I got the week trial to see who was doing that. And dog, it was a pretty big list of people who I was following, but they clicked unfollow on, and I'm like, dog, what the hell is that about? That's so childish. Like, if you don't want me paying, then just remove me as a follower from YouTube.
It's wild. Like, if you want to, but some people, I think, legitimately just unfollow people, regardless of if they follow them or not. And
That's fine.
sometimes there's no malice behind that. It's like, I don't care to see what you're posting.
Yeah.
If you want to continue to see what I'm posting, you're more than welcome to.
Right.
There's no. But if you're purposely trying to see who you can unfollow that will still keep following you so your ratio is better, you are lonely.
Dude, fuck that
You're the
ratio.
most lonely person in the world.
Yeah.
Go build real connections with a small group of friends. You will have so much more fun in your life.
Yeah.
I really didn't think I was going to be triggered like that.
Nah, listen, that's why I had like a whole fucking rant
Yeah.
planned out. Are there so like surface level, we kind of touched on surface level friendships. I really want to get into like the real connections or the real relationships, and I feel those real connections, you don't feel lonely in that you feel like you're truly seen rather than watched. Do you feel like there are any instances in your life that you can think of where
Yes.
your connections have made you feel truly seen?
So they're not specific, a specific moment, but they were continuous moments.
Okay.
So there's a couple friends that I've known for 20 years, and it does not matter what we do. I have my most authentic self around them. There's no bullshit there, between either of us. There's literally no bullshit because they would know. They'd be like, "What the fuck is this? Why are you trying to act this way? You're not this way. What are you doing?" They make me feel truly seen because they take me for the weird, what the hell is this person type of guy that I am,
Yeah.
and they do not care. They match it, right? And then my relationship with my girlfriend, I am the most authentic person there too. There was never a question. You want to talk about how you something fits? It's like putting your hand into a glove that was made for your glove.
Yeah.
There's no awkwardness. It was instantly, okay, yeah, no, this is it. There's no questions here.
Yeah.
This is exactly what it's supposed to feel like, and you
Yeah.
just know it. I don't know how to explain that feeling.
Shut him out, bro. Shut him out. Shut him out.
Mateo
Shout out Mateo. Yo, Mateo.
and
What's up, man?
Mateo and Riley I've known since I was in kindergarten.
Mm.
Those are two guys. There's a couple other guys like Ty and whatnot that I've known for a long time, but not quite as long. And then Sarah, my girlfriend, who
Yeah.
we talked about last episode. Wow, she's getting back-to-back shout out. I don't know if she's gonna like that, but that's fine. We can bleep it.
Sarah.
Bleep her name. Anyway, but it's I don't know how to I don't know how to explain that feeling until you feel it yourself.
Mm.
It's very difficult to comprehend.
Yeah.
When you just realize, like, you're hanging out with someone, you're like laying down, you're watching a movie, you're reading books together. Like Sarah and I frequently will read together, but separately. We'll
Yeah.
be in the same room, but we are in two completely different worlds.
Yeah.
And I feel completely comfortable and not alone in that situation. I don't know if I'm explaining that well.
No, you did.
So it's all of those moments.
Yeah.
It's people they don't judge you or judge me when I do something that is just my natural self.
Right.
They don't make me feel stupid when I say, "Hey, I have a podcast."
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, fuck, that's awesome. Where can I watch it? How
Yeah.
can I support?"
Yeah.
Those are the people that make you feel, okay, you're seeing me for who I am.
Yeah.
Through the bullshit, through all the world and everything we've lived through.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. You have any
You touched on the
comments?
podcast, and that was actually my moment. It's when I was getting a lot of like, not just like praise and like pat on the back, like nice job, that's awesome, but like people who took the time to watch what we did and who not only were like, oh, that's really cool, that's a good idea, but they like were like giving feedback as well, and I appreciated that so much because it's like we want this to succeed. Obviously, like
Big time.
we want this to succeed so badly, but and it shows when other people kind of give you that feedback. It's like, oh, they're kind of like playing a part in that too, and it means a lot. Like there's a lot of people who reached out, Peter, Z, Daniel,
Hell yeah.
I
Peter, I see you, Peter. I was just gonna mention it.
yeah.
I see man. Daniel, I see you too.
Yo, shout out
liking
Daniel,
everything.
selling cars. He's starting a little pivot. He was in comp sci and bio, and he's doing a little pivot in selling cars.
Hell
It's
yes.
fucking awesome, dude. Sold his first
Pivot,
car.
man.
Awesome.
Hey, everyone, like we were talking about before,
Yeah.
you got to slow down if you're making it. You got to make that turn and these be back up.
Yeah, dude. It was actually really cool to see. He's got a M&M Auto. Shout out M&M Auto. Damn. All right. No more
They better
brand.
be paying us for that, man. I want to see a check in the mail.
Yeah. No, like a lot of like Sonia, like a lot of people have and it's usually
Hell
moments when you're vulnerable, do you really tend to notice who's actually making you feel seen versus watched? Because then whenever you're like going to like, oh, how was your day? It's not going to be clear who's actually like paying attention and going the extra mile in that conversation. But it's like when you're taking a leap of faith, I feel like it's more obvious who is actually like making you feel that way versus just
Also, Nav, you make me feel.
oh,
my
dude,
friend.
thanks, man. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
That was the sounded jokey about being serious. That's real. I'm being serious.
Yeah.
It's just nice, and I feel it when you feel it. You feel it. You understand what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. It
Yeah.
clicks. You feel comfortable. You don't have to be someone you're not.
Mm.
We're lucky that we have anybody who makes us feel that way.
That's
so
true. Yeah.
You don't need a whole group of people.
Right.
It's nice if you have a whole group of people, but you don't need a whole group of
Yeah.
people.
Um, See, this wasn't that sad of an episode. I feel like it wasn't. It wasn't that
I
sad.
think we got more mad than anything.
Um, I have a cool quote I want to end it on. Unless there's anything more you want to say before we kind of
Well,
wrap
if
it up.
it's a good quote, I'm gonna have to talk about
Okay,
it.
fair enough. This quote's by Robin Williams, American actor,
Hell yeah.
comedian. Rest
Oh,
in peace.
love Robert Williams.
I used to think the worst thing in life was to end up alone. It's not. The worst thing is to end up with people who make you feel alone.
All right, that's Nav. This is Caleb. This is Life in Moments. We appreciate you for watching.